since Mandal debate, as in famous Indra Sahni judgment, it's been saying that we need to have a concrete data. Periyar could think of proportional representation, then that the entire North India could not think. You go to Rajasthan High Court, in the campus you have Manu statue. So either you have constitution or you have Manu. As production of knowledge is basically reproduction of knowledge. The real production of knowledge is by the communities who are working in the field, who are, soiling their hands in the mud. There can be poor Brahmins, there are poor Brahmins, but the chances of how many poor Brahmins are there and how many poor Dalits are there, if you make a comparison of any village in this country, you are the ruling party and I am the opposition, and I am raising something which you are saying, okay, fine. Now what will I do? I can be only watchful of saying, acha, aap kariye.
The Union Cabinet has approved for the caste enumeration in the upcoming census. It's been a long demand for the opposition party as well as the social movements who is closely working towards social justice. Now, the Congress party also announced that they are demanding for a reservation which is beyond 50%. So, even in the case of Telangana, they have conducted the caste census, which they now proposing for the Karnataka as well. Similarly, we have an example of Bihar. They went to the court when the JDU-RJD alliance was there. Then they conducted a caste survey, and similarly, they have increased the reservation as well. But the Patna High Court has struck down the reservation policy which proposed by the Bihar Assembly. Now we have Dr. Arvind Kumar with us. Welcome you all to Periyar Screen. Hello, Professor. Yeah, so caste census been announced. Now everybody almost welcome it. There are a lot of questions. People are worried about caste census. They are saying that it is a divisive policy of the government. Union government should not do it. It comes from the question that who is worried of caste census? Is a Brahmin monopoly is a myth? That is the question I want to ask you. Yeah.
Well, so let me at the onset congratulate Periyar Screen for having initiated such discussion. It's a long canvas, and it's difficult to sort of pinpoint, and I was just wondering where to start from. Uh, well, I'll take that point. As you said, is Brahminical monopoly a myth? Brahmin monopoly. I would distinguish here with what you call in Dravidian land as Brahmin monopoly. I would rather call it more a Brahmanical monopoly, because lot of, like, people, those who actually belong to whom we consider marginalized, they also ideologically, when they are on the other side, start becoming Brahmanical. And I'm reminded of a scholar, uh, very famous Dalit literary figure called Saran Kumar Limbale. He is a famous collection of stories, and the title of the book is Dalit Brahman. Now, how do you define Dalit Brahmins? You know, so that's the ideological project that one has to understand. When we talk about judiciary and we say that judiciary is Brahmanical, we do not mean to say that all the judges are Brahmins. Of course, the majority of them are there, and therefore, like, Dravidian movement or social justice movement is so important, because Periyar movement or social justice movement, the Dravidian movement, uh, to be precise, in the Dravidian land, uh, more than 100 years ago realized this, the monopoly of few particular castes in judiciary, in academia, in bureaucracy. So wheresoever we go, which matters, which runs the country, which runs the nation. And you know, surprisingly, not surprisingly, astonishingly, a majority of the working hands, those who are toiling masses, those who are, what Kancha Ilaya says, like, you know, those who are working on the field, their dignity of labor has been denied. And in India, caste is also linked to occupations. And therefore, we realize that those who produce, the producers of the land, the producers of this nation, uh, be it agriculture, be it any animal husbandry, be it the entire horticulture. So I give this example most of the time, like you talk of Rashtrapati Bhavan to any fine university or institutions of higher learning. You have, like, beautiful flowers, uh, uh, sort of decorated. Who does that? And it is the Malis, the community which Mahatma Phule actually was born into. So, and then it is these communities who are into production and also production of knowledge. That's a myth, that what we consider as production of knowledge is basically reproduction of knowledge. The real production of knowledge is by the communities who are working in the field, who are soiling their hands in the muds. But the whole Dharma Shastras, which Ambedkar so prophetically uh, realized and said, like like even menstruating mothers are considered impure. And that's so, not just caste but patriarchy, they are all linked to that, those shastras, including Manusmriti, which has always remained in contention, despite that we know that Dr. Ambedkar burned it. I mean, it was a public burning of Manusmriti, but we realize that even today, you go to Rajasthan High Court, in the campus you have Manu's statue. So either you have constitution or you have Manu. So we have to understand that, like it's a long battle. So far as the question of caste census is concerned, I think it was long due. And I was just watching a small video by a famous journalist called Urmiles, and he was informing, and I'll have to relook into Dr. Ambedkar's collected works, uh, that he says that it was the first home minister, not Sardar Patel, because Sardar Patel was not the home minister when first census happened in independent India. That was in 1951. It was C. Rajagopalachari, and nobody is talking about C. Rajagopalachari. Dr. Ambedkar squarely blamed C. Rajagopalachari, and I'm sure, like, you are more aware of C. Rajagopalachari, than people in the north. So why C. Rajagopalachari was so crucial as the home minister, as the then home minister, when the first census of independent India happened and caste census did not happen, despite the fact that we know that Article 340 of the Constitution talked about that whensoever the President of India will have this power to appoint a commission. Now, this is astonishing that 1951 you conduct a census and then a commission is appointed. And the same commission in 1953, uh, Kaka Kalelkar Commission, which was uh, constituted in 1953. It's gave its report in 1955. I would not talk about the irrelevance of, or immaterial that it became, this commission, but one very fine finding of this commission also, despite that they couldn't do anything, that we must conduct a caste census, and only by conducting caste census we will be able to find the backwardness which was defined in terms of social and educational backwardness. So, so this long history that why India could not have had caste census. So now that it has been announced by government, we all must welcome, but we also must remain vigilant about that, whether it will be done, how will it be done, because timeline has not been given. So So unless we have a timeline or deadline, we all those who are on the side of social justice must remain very vigilant to this announcement.
Yeah, while I think while addressing also the Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, he blamed the Congress for not disclosing the caste census, which prior they have done. Also, even he criticized Congress for keeping it a long due as a secret. Now we can see that the enumeration gonna happen. However, we also get to know about a lot of institutions being questioned by RTA. Lot of RTA results expose the Brahmin monopoly institutions per se. The mandate reservation policy now followed by the government of India post Mandal, it's not able to fully implement it. You see that in a reply to parliament questions also they give the same reply, and some institutions they say that even they doesn't maintain a data, but say like we have Jamia, there is no reservation, where they in a reply they say that they do not maintain a data on for more than 6 months. So this is the condition.
That's very intriguing, I would say. Uh, as you say, why Ashwini Vaishnav? Because he's also the spokesperson of the cabinet committee. Therefore, he comes and announces. And I was surprised because this was such a uh, big issue that Prime Minister himself or the Home Minister himself could announce this. But well, the ruling party knows it best, so I'm too small, or I do not feel myself to competent enough to be suggesting what they should have done. But let us remind ourselves of just last few years. And I remember the state home minister, who also comes from Bihar, called Nityanand Rai. He answered this on the floor of the parliament that caste census is not in the agenda of the government. Prime Minister repeatedly on many occasions have said that we have only four castes. At one point of time, I jokingly we do discuss that when Mandal Commission had gone to West Bengal, the then Chief Minister Jyoti Basu had said that Bengal only has two castes, rich and poor. So on a similar vein, Mr. Prime Minister created four castes. So he said women and Majdoor and two more farmers. I'm forgetting the fourth. So we have only four castes. Do you remember the fourth one? So poor, farmer, women. These three I categorically remember. So the fourth one. So we have only four castes. Why I'm saying this is only today's Indian Express has this piece by Shyamlal Yadav about question of caste in free India 1951 census to now. So he mentions a small anecdote, a fact of the matter which I didn't know. He says on April 17th, 1963, on the criteria Maragatham Chandrasekhar, sounds very South Indian name, then Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, had said all that we are doing now is to suggest to the state governments that they should adopt the economic criterion instead of caste criteria. So this is Congress government. So this is not BJP government. Right. So, and it is 1963, which means you can understand that Nehru was prime minister till 1964. So this, junior minister in the home affairs is of course a Congress minister. So, and this whole, dilly-dallying about, whether caste should be the criteria for reservation or affirmative action, or economy should be the criteria. It even in the Mandal debate, when VP Singh announced this, Rajiv Gandhi, one can, find, his speech on the floor of the Lok Sabha. So the point is not again about of blame game, because I'm not concerned about what Congress did and what the BJP did, but as a student of history or as a student of politics, in independent India, we see this trajectory that it is astonishing also in certain sense that people generally believe that the RSS and BJP are more concerned about the Hindu unity, as in uh, and recently we saw a lot of slogans about batenge to katenge. So that largely is premised on an imagination of larger Hindu unity, uh, which is premised on the understanding that everybody is Hindu. But on a hindsight, we are aware that whom we are calling Hindus, they are sections who have been denied entry to the temple, and therefore, be it Gandhi, be it Periyar, or be it Ambedkar, all three of them had to, initiate temple entry movement. Of course, their intentions were different. So I do not know about intention of Periyar. You are more capable of answering this. But for Ambedkar, I'm quite clear about that. Ambedkar did not initiate temple entry movement to suggest that let our people go to temple and liberate themselves. Rather, he was wanting to give message to his people that look, the religion that you are so you know mad about, look at your position in your own religion. I mean, that could be one of the reason why, if one reads Annihilation of Caste today, to many it would sound blasphemous. So I think, that's the context.
We see that Periyar's temple entry movement is that when questions are asked, then his idea is that once you visit the temple, then you will get to know that there is no God. For a long time, somebody is doing puja and performing, nothing had happened in their life also. They are in a position where to beg money from you. That is the condition. So we jokingly say. And coming back to the question of BJP and RSS, now if we per se they came with the slogan cutting to batenge or that kind of slogans where they were in a position that ideally we look from outside that they oppose uh, caste census or per se reservation, but when we look internally in the party politics or in the government, they give chance to n number of deprived castes. Even for that matter, in Tamil Nadu, they made a minister, gave the person who could not able to win the elections, but even though they gave there are a couple of Brahmins also got a chance, but similarly they chosen a L Murugan, who is among the oppressed, they gave him a chance. So similarly across India we can see that pattern. While it is a president, they say that we gave opportunity to Dalit or tribal. Similarly they say for prime minister we gave opportunity to other backward castes. So uh, I mean, on what extent we may go for criticizing them, but in reality, it seems like they are more pro social justice or in a way forward.
Well, Elijah, I don't know. I mean, I would not want to sound that prophetic, because I am not. Uh, but one thing I categorically can say, that the ruling party is very pragmatic. They understand, and they are watchful of the resonance in the society. So if I honestly can understand, because the whole uh, uh, championing of the question of caste question and संविधान question, and particularly जिसकी जितनी संख्या भारी उसकी उतनी हिस्सेदारी, that's original slogan of Manivar Kansiram. And for last 2 years it almost even the media, because our public memory is so short, that it almost kind of was resonated as an original idea of Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition now. He was not a leader of opposition also then. But one thing is certain, that this resonance, it did not work much in Bihar, but it did work in Uttar Pradesh. However, I do not know how Suhas Palsikar misses this point in his express essay. titled Consensus on Caste Census. He says it did not work in favor of Congress and its allies in UP and Bihar. I do not agree with him. He's a famous professor, taught at Pune University. He was in many committees, but I think he certainly doesn't have as much knowledge of Bihar and UP, it seems, because it was UP that turned that stopped BJP to come to power by its own. As in, they could not have 272. It was only because of Uttar Pradesh. And that PDA works, Pichda Dalit uh, mm, Alpsankyak. Pichda Dalit Alpsankyak, that's Alpsankyak is Akiliyat in Hindi Urdu, basically minorities. So, backwards, Dalit and uh, the minority, and we know in UP, by minority we mean the Muslim minority because they are the majority in that sense. So, it did work. Achilles had more than 30 seats, which, the number which even Mulayam Singh could not, achieve in his lifetime. And even Congress had 6 seats. So, in a sense, UP stopped BJP to you know, come to achieve that magic mark of 272. That's certain. Now, about close to a year now, because April, May Lok Sabha elections were happening. So in a year's time, the ruling party, and of course with RSS, because they have organization, so they have grassroots reach. So they must have understood the mood of the people, that gradually it is these backward class or castes whom Mr. Prime Minister has been boastfully saying about championing their cause, because he himself was born into one of those extremely backward castes, what he says, Modghachi, that's his caste in Gujarat. There's a debate about whether it was, uh, you know, uh, yes, so he was born OBC or not, but I shall not get into that debate now. All I'm saying that there is no denying the fact that the caste that he belongs to in Gujarat today is in the OBC list. So that's the fact of the matter. And of course, it has helped him. So right from the campaign that you remember from 2014, it immensely boosted his position as to be called the first OBC prime minister. Again, that could be factually wrong, because we have had Charan Singh, but then Jats, were not OBC then. I mean, that's another intriguing question. Like I suggested about Jyoti Babu, that he says only to Jyoti Basu. Similarly, even Charan Singh was not very comfortable to be called backward. This landed gentry, and they were Sudras. And therefore, the uses of the Sudra in terms of historical parlance, the uses of the term Sudra is very important. One may not agree with its uses. So that's question with Harijan and Dalit. So again, we may discuss it sometime later. But the question of it is Sudras, even in modern times when Mahatma Phule uses the term Sudra and Ati Sudra in his writing, he basically is meaning the what the British or colonial government were meaning by backward classes and depressed classes, right? So basically the today's OBCs and today's scheduled castes, for that matter. So in that sense, one has to understand that the ruling party uh, also has this guts to take that challenge. That if our society has some churning, uh, you have to tap it as a ruling party, and that's what they did. Like if you remember, since when Congress changed its position in pro-social justice, at one point of time before Lok Sabha election, they were saying we have the maximum OBC chief minister. Now, surprisingly, you see Nana left, even Charanjit Singh Channi, a Dalit chief minister for that matter. So to use that caste vis-a-vis identity they have been very smart in handling that. So today you have Orissa Chief Minister who is a tribal, Jharkhand Chief, as in I'm talking about BJP, even Chhattisgarh Chief Minister who is a Adivasi, um, Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister who is a OBC, and precisely Yadav. So that gives us a message that they are watchful, and they are not doing the politics from the drawing room. They are very much on the ground, and they are watchful of the whether one may ideologically akin to uh, BJP RSS or not. That's not the question. But as a student of social science, we have to be objective in terms of assessing. So now that's what Palsikar writes. He says it's a kind of a consensus now. Why? Because you are the ruling party and I am the opposition, and I am raising something which you are saying, okay, okay, fine. Now what will I do? I can be only watchful of saying, अच्छा अच्छा आप करिए. पर my the central agenda or the central campaign theme that I kind of developed over the years, it's stolen in a moment.
Yeah, you're right in a way, but again, I think in this case, Congress is much aware of things. Like even though this caste census momentum been hijacked instantly, but see, I'm using that word, but on the same day or in the next day, the Congress president Mallikarjun Kharge, he has clearly stated that we want the exact timeline that when they are going to do it. It's not merely an announcement we are looking for. We need a time framework. And even for that matter, Rahul further added that we don't want anymore this 50 percentage cap which has been unconstitutionally put forward. So we want to remove that. So in a way, they are coming forward to the proportional representation demand. I once even presented a why proportional representation book to Rahul, and said about this is Periyar's book and it has these ideas. Then we presented that as well. Now we are looking that track, that Congress on track. They are also looking into this. It's not limited to caste census, but the demand of proportional representation.
No, no, I remember because that's the booklet we wrote the forward for. Remember. So my forward press essay, and that's the slogan that we all developed then, that caste census is just a means, proportional representation is the end. But you see, Leia, it's as I was trying to tell the history of not just Congress party but also the ruling party. Now you see the party which so all of a sudden agreed to conduct a caste census, which it was so vehement or against the idea of this for last at least 5 7 years, since when this momentum took up for the caste census once again. Because again, and I do not have to go back to 1963, just 2011 census. You know, it was made to SECC. Who did this? This the BJP did not do. This the UPA 2 did, and we are all aware of the fallouts of what all UPA 2 had done. Today's FYUP in the university, for that matter, it was Kapil Sibbal's plan. Now today you may not agree, I may not agree, but then also I did not agree with Kapil Sibbal. So Congress also has a history of you know uh, bulldozing or dilly-dallying the tactics of, forget about proportional representation, but even to common minimum that they had to offer to the backward classes. I'm saying I would not include the Dalits and the minorities, because Dalits and minorities have been beneficiaries in the subsequent Congress government, and they had a good support base also. You had many chief minister who were Muslims and Dalits, but even those from the Congress party, were important Sudra leaders, they also drifted, you know, gradually, be it Sharad Pawar and, so many of them. Uh, my point is not about, I do appreciate what Khadgeji, I appreciate his tall leadership in the parliament, and I appreciate Congress party to have given this position to Khadgeji. All I'm saying, but that the role of our opposition is to be watchful of whether the government is doing or not. I'm saying something different. I'm saying you are the ruling party and I am the opposition party. I'm saying you do this. I have a list of 5 things. You say, okay, I'll do all 5 things. Then I have to rediscover another 5 things to tell. So, one doesn't know whom actually to give credit, because last week when Yogendra Yadav wrote this essay, he gives credit. He says, if I categorically remember, he says, historically speaking, the credit must go to Ram Manohar Lohia, Madhu Limye, and Sarad Yadav. So I remember Sarad Yadav being very vocal in the parliament, but I do not know how much Lohia and Madhu Limye did for the sensitization of the caste census at the grassroots. Lohia, of course, brought in the question vis-a-vis Nehru in the parliament about the backward classes. But then ideologically, I do not agree. Uh, I would not want to agree so much to Lohia also, because he couldn't do what Ambedkar or Periyar did ideologically in that sense. So only by giving them political representation does not solve the problem, and that's the problem which UP and Bihar are still facing with the socialist leadership, because they couldn't develop a cadre which are rational, which are atheist, which are, and not necessarily everybody has to be atheist, but the rational thinking in the masses vis-a-vis culture, vis-a-vis religion. So why Periyar could think of proportional representation then that the entire North India could not think, including the Congress party, is the question that I'm trying to pinpoint.
So, coming to the matter of Bihar now, it has been said that categorically a lot of people say that the call for caste census is only because of Bihar election, because JDU and BJP in ally, and the initiative by Bihar government, then the JDU RJD ally, then Nitish Kumar as a chief minister, and Tejashwi as a deputy chief minister, they brought a reservation which is close to proportional representation, which is beyond 50%. So whereas the Patna High Court is okay with the caste survey but not okay with the reservation, they struck down it. So how you're looking into it? What is the way forward now if the
Well, so let me finish the Yogendra's point. So historically, he wants to thank, as in the credit must go to these three, but politically the credit must go to Rahul. Now again, Rahul started this in last 2 years. So where is Lalu Prasad? Where is Mulayam ji? Where is Mayawati ji? Where is Kansi Ram, who actually brought the question? जिससे इसकी संख्या भारी उसकी उतनी हिस्सेदारी is the slogan which the credit only goes to Kansi Ram, and he was very creative in you know formulating such slogans. There are n number of slogans that he formulated to bring in the question of social justice to the mainstream of this nation. But again, uh, that's Yogendra's opinion, so let it be. Now, coming to this Bihar question, this precisely is the point that I'm trying to make, that the Periyar's movement generated a consciousness and rationality to think and to respond to the question of today in a way which UP and Bihar could not. I mean, of course, like Lalu Prasad or Mulayam ji, or I just named Kansiram and Mayawati, brought in the marginalized section to the mainstream in the political spectrum. But where were they in the university? So even if you look at, say, Patna University in 1960s or late 60s, early 70s, when Lalu Prasad, Nitish Kumar, Ravi Shankar Prasad, these were the student leaders then, having, coming from the backward communities, both Lalu Prasad and Nitish were leader in Patna University, or even Sushil Modi. You go to Patna University today, so, this churning couldn't happen at the societal level, at the level of student politics in the universities. So, this is the reason why you you as in Tamil Nadu could think of 69% reservation 30 years ago, and now they thought. Therefore, I say this, like, I fondly talk of two model of social justice: Tamil Nadu model and Bihar model. Now, if Bihar have had the churning at a societal level, there would have been a mass upsurge at the societal. Nothing happened. Patna High Court, and we know the judiciary. Now, look at the contradiction, which we fail to understand most of the times. That the court repeatedly, since Mandal debate, as in famous Indra Sahni judgment, it's been saying that we need to have a concrete data for implementation of reservation. What does this concrete data mean? This simply means census. This simply, if the reservation is caste based, then you collect the data which is caste based. And caste based is not just classification of caste. We are all aware that it is also relocation of economy on caste based. And this is one of the reason why I say, and I read somewhere, I'm forgetting where, that about 88% of the landless people in this country, 88% of them belong to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Now, even if you consider the OBCs, it is maximum. So one may always say, like, Garib Brahmins are also there. Of course, they are poor Brahmins. So there can be poor Brahmins. There are poor Brahmins, but the chances of how many poor Brahmins are there and how many poor Dalits are there, if you make a comparison of any village in this country, and you tell me if it is, contradictory to what I am saying. But what is intriguing is that the same court did not ask while implementing EWS reservation. And I'm talking about Supreme Court, not any high court, that if you are implementing 15% reservation for 15% of the scheduled castes of this country, there is a viable data, because even if we did not have caste censuses, the censuses did include the enumeration of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes for a specific reason, that we have had continued reservation for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So we do not know, and that was the you know uh, buzzword during Mandal debate also, that how do we know that we have 27% of the reservation? Where did this idea come from? That even Mandal considered 1931 census. We said about 52% of the people are, roughly OBC in this entire country, although they may count into 6,000 castes. The point is that even if was not 52%, 42%, why are we implementing 27%? Then came a great logic that the reservation cannot exceed 50%. Where does this logic come from? If we have 20 people in this room and 40 braids, we all will assume that 22 braids. Yeah, but how come this happens that two people will grab 18 braids other 18 people will survive on two brains. We as a nation are surviving on this fallacy, on this fallacious, logic. So, on every moment that you think of when a matter relating social justice or affirmative action or reservation goes to the court, they will say, where is the data? And that same happened in numerous cases that went to Patna High Court. Now, because that's the mandate of the center constitutionally to conduct a, census by the Ministry of Home, right? Registrar General of Censuses is constitutionally mandated to do that act. But having realized that because the central government, the ruling party, is not of intention to do so, the Bihar government did it in the name of survey. Now they have a data. Despite this data, you are not agreeing to the increased percentage of reservation or affirmative action, but without data, you agreed, and you see, you agreed for, there are two fallacy there. One, that they agreed for 10% reservation for the EWS without any data. One, and second, that it also breached that 50% cap. So now, whichsoever government and even Congress party, while it's saying that 50% cap should be removed, because they also come from that same Brahmanical framework, say though they are not, this logic is not coming to them or to any of the spokesperson of the party, that because the Supreme Court has already given us the way of breaching the 10%, 50% cap, so it's already done. Why do you have to do? It's already done. And now you always can have this example of Tamil Nadu. And so all I'm saying, in a federal, which uh, uh, Tamil Nadu again is also taking initiative in this regard about cooperative federalism. So you see that how does it happen that something, a law which is implemented by Tamil Nadu, cannot be implemented by Bihar? What stops a state? Bihar has 243 assembly seats. How many Tamil Nadu has? I think 239.
Yeah, we have 234.
234. A assembly of 234 representative can recommend it to that 69% of reservation is valid, but an assembly which has 243, I'm just giving you, on a light note, an assembly of 243 members is not able to implement that. How come an assembly called Tamil Nadu recommends that this be put into ninth schedule, and the central government agrees to do that, even despite the fact that, the ruling party at the center were not necessarily the same party which was ruling the Tamil Nadu. So in a similar vein here, it is NDA which is ruling at the center, and it is NDA which had recommended. Fine, it was done during when Tejasvi Prasad was the deputy chief minister, and RJD and JDU was and Congress were in government. But finally, when it was implemented, it was JDU, BJP, LJP alliance. That's NDA alliance. At the center also, you have NDA alliance. So what is stopping? Who is stopping? So that's the point where you begin from, is that what I call the Brahmanical thinking.
Thank you, Professor, for joining us today. We had almost discussed about the issues around caste census and proportional representation. We looked into from the historical context as well as the contemporary issues around the same. And I wish that soon Bihar will get a chance to implement the proportional representation in a way that this caste census will lead a way forward. And you also rightly said that the EWS judgment, when they uphold the judgment, which means almost the done with the 50% cap, so it has been removed. So it is the high time that where we are facing problem while implementing the already existing reservation policy. Been lot of time we have been put into trauma that our people doesn't have a merit, our people not capable enough to be teaching as assistant professor or get into any jobs where they have been neglected, that none found suitable. Despite having reservation, we have been rejected from many of the postings. We have been denied of admissions, and now the political discourse is changing, where we are demanding for a caste census, where many political parties, either it is a ruling party or opposition party, everybody demands for a reservation in the private sector as well as removing the 50% cap, where we are heading forward the proportional representation. It is high time to be awakened. It is a call for all the non-Brahmins, as we say, as a Dravidians, to come together and fight for our demand, which is rightfully ours, which is a long due per se. Thank you, Professor, for joining us. We'll see you in the another interview.